Juwan Howard did not make the trip to Minneapolis for Big Ten Media Days, still dealing with the after effects of heart surgery a month ago. No timetable set for his return. That was something of note. I was mentioning earlier, I'm wondering if Purdue was all biz, because when I got to the player in the breakouts, the schedule sucked, to be honest with you, in that regard. I could not get I needed to clone myself. I wanted to get over to Tom Izzo. He is always a must stop spot to talk to, because he's not going to coach speak you. And he's not going to coach speak you. And he's been around long enough. He doesn't deal with that BS. But didn't get to do that. We're fortunate to have Mike Woodson and Trey Galloway, Xavier Johnson on the show live, and then go to the breakouts with those guys. But I'm sure you've watched some of the video, and what stood out so far for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, what stands out for me specifically, and for Purdue especially, is that they know they're going to have to keep answering questions about Fairleigh Dickinson. They know that they're kind of expecting them at this point. Like, yeah, I almost wondered whether they'd be kind of tired of them and start snapping at people for asking, but they're not. They know that it's coming.
Say that because the body language. I talked about this before you joined us. I said I don't know if it's that Purdue is just all biz, or they really didn't want some of them want to be there. If you can find a video, well, hell, look at mine. Just look at Ethan Morton.
Yeah.
The whole time, he's Zach Edey's to his right, and Mason Gill, and he's like, just, it's like he couldn't have cared less to be there.
Yeah.
So whatever. But I will say this: I did ask, and we'll try to get that pulled up and played. But Mason Gillis, they were talking. It was in a point we're talking about losses and losses hurting, and I think it was probably about Fairleigh Dickinson. And then I asked, I said, I know that a regular season loss does not ever define a season. I said, but there are certain games that are just big. And I said, the Indiana series, you guys had beaten them 9 times in a row, but the last year they get the sweep. I said, what did that loss do? And he gave I will give him props. He gave a great answer. He said that, I'd be lying if I said it didn't hurt, but we had 4 goals set, and we got 2 out of the 4. He goes, and if I gotta take 2 losses to IU to get these, and he holds up 2 rings about the size of my coffee cup.
Yeah, they're huge. Yeah.
Yeah, he goes, he's got the bling. He was the only one wearing is, if I got to take 2 losses to get these, he goes, I'll take that trade. So I thought it was a smart answer, but that they did for a team that achieved what they achieved.
Yeah,
they took some bad losses. The one to Indiana, they didn't lose. They got their ass kicked at home, and they weren't supposed to. Then you do what they do. I really wanted to get to Matt Painter because he's one of the other coaches that is great to talk to. But I wanted to ask, and pressure may not be the right word, but it probably is the right word. There has got to be an unbelievable amount of pressure on him to do something this year, because if not this season, when? You have the most dominant returning Big Ten champion team in quite some time.
Yeah.
And for the last 3 seasons, you have gotten beaten by an average number 13 seed. That's embarrassing. It's unacceptable by fans. And they have the whole damn team back. They're not adding, 3 faces. IU's got 6, and other teams have multiple. They don't have that issue. They had the same team. So there has just the pressure. I don't care if they admit it or not. It's got to be there.
Oh, absolutely. And they know it. Like we talked to them last week in West Lafayette when they started practice, or 2 weeks ago now. And basically we asked them about, like, look, you guys know, and we all know that no game in the regular season matters at all. Like you're not playing a basketball game until March. You're not. No one is going to care. You could go 30-0. And Ethan Morton said this exact thing. He said, we could go 30-0 and win every game by 30 points and no one's going to care. And he said, we know that. But we still have to go 30-0 and win every game by 30 points. Like, that's still the goal for them, right? And then they'll figure out March when they get there. Now they're going to go and make some changes and all of that, because that's what Matt Painter said yesterday. Is he spent a lot of this offseason talking about how they're going to make small tweaks. They're not going to overhaul anything. And basically he was like yesterday, look, we're not going to make any enormous changes. We're not going to change what's working just because of a couple losses in March. Because, like, he said that there are changes we can make at the margin. But we're not going to overhaul everything we're doing just because of what happened last year. And so basically he's like, I'm not going to be bullied into changing something that's working just because everyone's convinced that it can't work in March, because we've seen it work in March before, right? Like, they didn't lose to St. Peter's in the first round. They beat a really good Texas team to get to face St. Peter's, and they lost that game, right? Like, they made the Sweet 16 that year. And so it's just interesting how they're trying to walk the line between nothing is going to change at all and we are not fundamentally changing ourselves, I think is what they're trying to do, all while realizing that no one's going to believe anything that they do or say until March 15th, basically. So they're just in a fascinating position to me.
Yeah, and I know for those of you that are following along on YouTube, you can see this. Radio, you can't. I do have a picture pulled up of a video that's kind of stopped, and I think it says everything. Mason Gillis is kind of leaned back, looking forward. Zach Edey right in the middle, looking directly at, and then there's Ethan Morton just thinking about the cosmos, staring off into space, which is kind of wild. But here is, I may have this kind of right in the middle of my question to him, but let me make sure I've got this turned up. But this is the question that I asked.
What did that loss in magnitude to you guys? And actually, I know you're an Indiana guy, but you guys haven't, but you live.
Yeah, I'll let Mason's Indiana guy, so I'll let him always speak on that. My thing is if I had to take 2 losses to Indiana to get these, I'm okay with it. Yes, it does. It is tough to take those 2 losses to Indiana because that's our rival. But at the same time, our goal wasn't to beat Indiana. Our goal was to win the Big Ten season, win the Big Ten tournament, make the Final Four, win the national championship. We got 2 out of those 4 goals. 2 losses to get those 2 goals, I'll take it. I'm okay with it. But as a competitor, I don't want to lose any game, no matter who it is, too. But we have this year. We'll play them twice again this year, and we'll see what happens.
There you go. It's a good answer. I mean, there's not a lot else you can say. He kind of took his dose of medicine, but said, "Hey," and at the end of the day, he's not lying. I'm sure that you could ask a lot of the Indiana players that, "Hey, would you take 2 losses, but trade it for a Big Ten regular season and tournament championship ring?" I'm going to guess they'd say yes.
I think they would, because I mean that means your season was, like, regardless of what happened, they had a successful season, right? Like it's still, there's a lot of good memories they made during the regular season of winning games that were a lot of fun for their fans and all of that. So, like, you win a Big Ten title, you did something. They went 15-5 in league play, or 16-4, whatever it was. They won the league by 3 games. And they had fun doing it. And yeah, it wasn't all that fun at the end, but there were some games where they played very, very well. and really put some good basketball out there. And that's what you want out of a season generally. Now you want to do more in March than they did, obviously, but generally that's what you want out of a season, is to do what they did.